Tonight on All Systems Go, we've got fall festivities and flannels.
We're glad you made it. All Systems Go starts right now.
Welcome to All Systems Go, the only show that doesn't have skeletons in its closet.
They're on our desk instead. I'm Jenica jumping in leaves.
And I am Nick not jumping in leaves. Let's get into it. Yesterday during our Smash Direct, Mr. Sakurai revealed that the final character for Smash Ultimate will be none other than Sora from the Kingdom Hearts series, which was the most requested character from fans and Liam. Some new Mii Fighter costumes were shown off too, one of which was the Doom guy, but who really cares? Despite Disney's ties with Sora, no Disney music will actually be included in the DLC, and all Disney imagery has been removed from the new Kingdom Hearts stage that is included as well. Sora and the Mii costumes will be available for purchase as DLC on October 18th.
Well, horror fans are in for a playful surprise. USA and Sci-Fi Network released a trailer for the upcoming Chucky TV series, a continuation of the Child's Play universe. The show follows Jake, a teenage outcast who buys the doll at a yard sale, not knowing of the horrors that lay beyond him. As the series plays out, Jake tries to stop Chucky from killing, but in an unfortunate turn of events, Jake becomes the suspect of the murders. Chucky will premiere on USA and Sci-Fi on October 12th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Popular D&D show Critical Role will soon release their third season, which centers on a new campaign with new characters. All 8 cast members will return with unnamed guest appearances along the way as well. Not only will the series be streaming on YouTube and Twitch, but in select theaters too, specifically in Cinemark theaters in about 20 different U.S. cities. The Critical Role Season 3 premiere is set to go live at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 21st.
Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier will be released in November as a battle royale game for mobile devices. The title was first announced in February, but the trailer didn't drop till earlier this week. The newest installment in the Final Fantasy series is set 30 years prior to the events of the main game. It's been confirmed that the new game will have controller compatibility. Pre-registration for Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier will start later this month.
Yesterday, Nintendo revealed that the Kingdom Hearts series is coming to Nintendo Switch via cloud gaming. The news was announced by Smash Bros. Series creator Masahiro Sakurai as a part of Mr. Sakurai Presents. Switch versions will allow players to enjoy Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3. Those are great names. There is currently no release date for the Switch version of Kingdom Hearts, so stay tuned for more updates.
I'll bet you never saw this coming. Disney has canceled everyone's favorite queer Disney show. The Owl House's creator, Dana Terrace, clarified why the show was canceled in a Reddit post. It was speculated that the cancellation was due to canon LGBTQ+ representation, but Terrace doesn't want to assume bad faith against the people she works with. She says, quote, "There are a few business people who oversee what fits into the Disney brand, and one day one of those guys decided that the Owl House didn't fit that brand." Up next, Nick is going to give us a rundown of all things Christopher Nolan movies, and also we'll get a review of the new adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen.
ESG will be right back.
Nolan, the man, the myth, the legend, known for an incredible array of movies. Let's join Nick as he tells us which of these films are just as legendary as the name that precedes them.
We should probably cut to the video now, right?
Would you like to play a game, Nick?
Where am I?
You're in a Saw parody, and your only way out alive is if you rank all 11 Christopher Nolan films from worst to best in your personal opinion in the next 7 minutes and 2 seconds, or you die.
Okay, yeah, I could do that. Alright, I guess here goes nothing.
Quick disclaimer. All of these movies are good. They all have a great score. They've all got great casting. None of them are bad. With that being said, let's begin. Number 11, Following. I haven't seen Following. I didn't know that counted. Number 10, Tenet. The concept is cool and the film definitely has some really cool moments, but it doesn't do the best job explaining the concept throughout the movie. within the runtime, and the actual plot itself isn't even that great either. There aren't really any memorable characters in it. The scale is too big without also at the same time being personal. If this was like a small scale James Bond type like heist film or something with this concept of like the time travel stuff, I think it would be really good. But not only is the concept super hard to understand, but the actual story is too. Insomnia achieves the bare minimum requirement of what makes a movie good, and that is a comprehensible story. Take notes, Tenet. In fact, it's too comprehensible? And listen, I know I just panned Tenet to be too confusing, but for a movie to be truly next level, it needs to have some sort of like higher concept idea or like really unique function. And while I like Insomnia's mystery and conflict, my biggest criticism of it is just how plain it feels. It's not bad, I recommend it, it's just not great. Number 8, Dunkirk. The film has some great suspenseful moments, and the concept of 3 different points in time converging at the end worked really well for me. And while it does have its moments, I found the film overall to be a little too slow for me, especially on rewatches. It's definitely more of a slow burn type film. The movie itself is okay, but I just feel like the soundtrack carries way too hard. Number 7, The Prestige. The mystery in it is great. The concept is great. There's some really thrilling moments in the movie. I liked the arcs all the characters went through. You know, obviously the casting was really solid. The movie has a lot going for it, and I do think it's underrated, despite what I'm about to say. My biggest issue of the movie is probably the pacing. Because of flashback subplots on top of the main plot, the movie's basically juggling like 3 stories at the same time, and it's constantly switching between these essentially parallel stories, and as a result, I think a lot of emotional beats don't hit as hard because there just wasn't enough time to build up anything properly. I think there's some emotional moments near the end that don't really resonate as hard as they could because the movie doesn't do a good enough job building it up or foreshadowing it enough. Things just keep happening and there's like no time to breathe. I think The Prestige will work a lot better as like an HBO miniseries. Because it's doing so many things at the same time, it doesn't really do any of them the justice they deserve. Give the plot a little room to breathe, and the audience for that matter as well. Number 6, The Dark Knight Rises. A solid movie. While there's nothing about the movie I dislike, I think it gets a little goofy near the end with some of the creative decisions and weird acting choices. I don't dislike The Dark Knight Rises. I do think it's a good movie. It just is probably the weakest out of the 3 in my opinion. Number 5, Batman Begins. Probably the best pacing out of the trilogy. The villain's great. The movie's themes on like fear are super consistent and thought out, and it's just overall just a really just like solid movie. I think it's the most personal story from the trilogy, which helps me engage with it a lot better. My only big issue with it is like all the flashbacks, and like, yeah, I get it, we need to know this stuff, and yes, they are crucial to the story, but I've never been a huge like flashback person. I think there's more creative ways to go about revealing like past events, and I just think the movie has like one too many for my liking, but overall it's a great movie. It just doesn't have that Nolan edge that these last movies have. So number 4, The Dark Knight. Obviously, the best of the trilogy. Every aspect of the movie is fantastic in one way or another. It's suspenseful, it's iconic, it's filled with twists. What more could you really ask for? But if you noticed, it's only at my number 4 spot. And that's because, well, The Dark Knight is a fantastic movie. It's missing that truly original, high-concept idea that, when done right, take notes, Tenet, creates an incredibly memorable and unique viewing experience. Number 3, Memento. For Nolan's second ever movie, Memento is truly fantastic in my eyes. This movie is so slept on, so allow me to enlighten you. It's about a guy who only has short-term memory, so he forgets stuff after like 10 minutes, and he's trying to solve a mystery of his dead wife. The way the movie goes about portraying his short-term memory loss is by showing all the scenes in reverse chronological order, so you know as little as he does when a scene begins. And this isn't just a gimmick. The movie from the ground up was created with this concept in mind. This style, it leads to a lot of unique plot twists, which make the movie just as good on the rewatch. Number 2, Interstellar. Another great execution of a really creative concept, relativity, where time moves at different speeds depending on the gravity. Interstellar is grandiose in scale, probably the largest scale movie Nolan has ever made, but at the same time, very personal. It's filled with twists, memorable visuals, and the score, man, just some of Hans Zimmer's best work. I think out of all the movies on this list, Interstellar probably has some of the highest highs, some of my all-time favorite movie moments. But these are moments. My only real complaint of Interstellar is how there are parts that are kind of boring or extraneous, which bring the momentum of whatever cool thing just happened to a halt. Minor pacing issue aside, Interstellar is incredible. And for being one of the rare movies to make me cry, it belongs on number 2 spot, bested only by... Number 1, Inception. Full transparency, Inception is currently my favorite movie. No movie is perfect, but Inception is an extremely rare case where I think it just might be perfect in every way. The concept is out there, of course, sure, and yeah, it's complicated as all hell, which is why it amazes me how Nolan makes it so digestible and understandable for a first viewing. At least, for me it was. The biggest complaint I see for the film is how much exposition there is, and yeah, there are like 20 different scenes where people are just explaining things, but that's never really bothered me, because not only is the concept just fascinating enough on its own, but these scenes are always accompanied by some sort of engaging visuals that illustrate the point that's being said, which not only makes the point being explained more understandable, but it keeps the movie entertaining. Concepts aside, did I happen to mention how good the pacing, visuals, score, suspense, special and practical effects, characters, story, beginning, and ending are? Because they're all equally insane. I love this movie, it made me cry, and it's my favorite Christopher Nolan film. So, yeah, how's that?
Not a second to spare.
Okay, cool. I have to go introduce the next segment, so can you get me out of here?
Coming up next, Jenica and Max give their thoughts on the new Dear Evan Hansen film. Did they like it? Did they dislike it? Let's find out.
This week we're ranting about Dear Evan Hansen. I'm Max.
And I'm Jenica.
It's only us.
So let's start this requiem. For all of you who haven't heard of Dear Evan Hansen before, it's basically about Evan Hansen, a high school student with social anxiety and depression who writes letters to himself.
One day, Evan's letter is taken by Connor Murphy, a kid with a bad reputation. After Connor commits suicide, Evan's letter is found in his pocket, and his parents mistakenly believe that the letter is Connor's suicide note written to his best friend, Evan.
Evan fully intends to tell the truth, but instead finds himself going along with the Murphys' beliefs. This leads him to fabricating an entire friendship with Connor. As time goes on, Evan finds he can't untangle himself from this deep web of lies, especially after his lie helps him get the girl of his dreams, Connor's sister, Zoe.
Alright, so what did you think about Dear Evan Hansen?
I have so many opinions.
Let's just start with Ben Platt.
Listen, he's got a beautiful singing voice. However, don't put him in the movie!
In every shot he's in, Ben Platt literally looks like a jump scare.
And the makeup they put him in makes him look even older somehow.
He looked geriatric.
Every single shot, his head looked like a squash. They really did him dirty like that, honestly.
Especially compared to Caitlin Dever, he just looks so old. He looks like he's old enough to be her father.
We were singing together and sitting together, and I was like, wow, some nice father-daughter bonding time.
Ben Platt doesn't really sell any of the emotional scenes either. He still acts like he's doing a stage musical and not like he's doing a movie.
And
so there's
100% different style of acting.
There's no subtlety to the way he acts.
You've all probably seen the crying face that he makes.
Moving on from Ben Platt, the plot itself, with the stuff they changed from the musical, I don't think it worked very well.
Didn't work very well at all.
The movie's pretty faithful to the original as far as the big plot points go, but there are little things that they changed in the adaptation that didn't work as well.
Exactly. For one, Evan's best friend, Jared, in the musical, he's a very homophobic, not a good character. And in the movie, they decided to make him gay?
One thing I actually do really like that they did with the characters is they gave Alana a little bit more emphasis in screen time. Unfortunately, they also gave her a solo song that was probably the worst song in the entire movie.
And the part that they chose to reprise was the worst part of the song. And there's a song in the musical where all of his friends are sort of like, hey, you really screwed up. and they cut that song out of the movie.
The soundtrack for the movie is excellent.
However, one of the good songs in the musical is called So Big, So Small, and it's sung by Evan's mother as she's trying to like console him. It works lovely in the musical. It's a beautiful song, it's wonderful. It was so boring in the movie.
If you had to rate the movie, where would you put it?
I'm gonna say, first of all, it was better than I anticipated. Like, there were some things they did in the movie that were actually good. Like, Zoe sings a song called Requiem, and it's so beautiful, and they did a really good job with it in the movie.
I'm gonna give it a solid 4.
That's what I was thinking.
It's by no means unwatchable, but there was no excuse for the movie to be as subpar as it was. I think the movie would have been like a 6 if Ben Platt wasn't in it.
Honestly, it might have even made a 7, but I think a 4 is a very good score for this very not good movie.
Well, that was our rant on Dear Evan Hansen. Watch it or don't.
Please don't.
Probably
Save
not missing out
yourself
on
the
much.
sanity. Does anybody have a map to get out of theater? I'd like to leave. After the break, we'll join Liam and the ASG cast for their hot takes as they take on a superhero versus debate. All systems go. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to ASG, and on today's discussion battle, I have to put some of our favorite fictional characters in a one-on-one battle. Our panel hosts will debate, and we will see who everybody think will win. And first up, we have Batman versus Black Panther. So, Nikki, I'm going to actually ask you to start first. Sorry, Max.
My first thought, immediate answer would be Black Panther, but with a little bit of nuance to it. I think it depends on a lot on the situation, like who's getting the jump on who, how much, like do they know it's happening beforehand, or is it just they meet each other in an alley and they mess each other up? But if it's that last one, I think it definitely goes to Black Panther because he's got that vibranium suit. Now granted, it's not invincible, not quite, but it's close. It's very close to invincible. It has that absorption and reflection ability that's just, it's really strong.
Alexa and Nick, do you guys have an opinion?
I think I'm going to have to go with Black Panther on this one too, because I don't think that anything Batman uses could like get through the suit if he didn't have any prep time. I also think that like anything Batman uses against Black Panther, he can just absorb and then use it back against Batman. So I think that he could honestly beat him pretty easily.
Yeah, as a Batman fan myself, I gotta say, Black Panther wipes the floor. Maybe if Batman has like prep time and like does his homework, then he could win any fight. But like in like a normal, typical fight between them, invincible armor and invincible claws. Like what do you do to that really?
All right, Max, what do you got for us?
Oh, I've been waiting, Liam. So let
Sure
me
have.
tell you. So we all know vibranium suit. What does it do? It absorbs kinetic energy. So yeah, Batman punches Black Panther, he's gonna have a bad time. But you know what it can absorb? Things without kinetic energy. Fire, electricity, gas. And you know what Batman always has on him? Tasers, smoke grenades, poison gas, fire. I think they'd come up, one punch, that didn't work, taser, he's down for the count.
I find it hard to believe that a taser can get through vibranium, my friend.
We'll leave this one up for debate because we're going to give him if Batman has some prep time, it could be pretty close. But let's move on to the next matchup. All right, so for the next matchup, we have a speedster battle for Flash and Quicksilver. So we'll go same order. Nikki, what do you think?
I admit, not super familiar with Quicksilver, but just from what I know, gotta give it to the Flash. Quicksilver just isn't as fast from what I hear. Like, he has trouble dodging bullets, and granted, that is pretty impressive. But he's going up against the Flash, and there's just no contest, in my opinion.
Too soon, Nikki.
Too soon. Alexa, Nick, what do you guys think?
I'm going to have to go Flash too. I think he has more powers than Quicksilver does. I think he's faster, he can time travel, so I think he could win.
The Flash can time travel. I mean, literally what else is there to say? You can run around the world in like a second. It's pretty OP. I mean, you've just been around longer.
And Max, what about yourself?
I hate to make it boring, but I agree. The Flash would never get shot by a gun.
I agree with you as well. As long as there's a Speed Force involved and is there for the Flash, I think he's taking the dub. All right, for the last one, we actually don't have some superheroes for you, but we got some anime characters. We got Goku, and we got Saitama, One Punch Man himself. So what do you guys think?
Saitama.
You think Saitama? You think he can one-punch Goku?
Oh, he's the One Punch Man. It's his name. He punched once, boom, gone. Problem solved.
Alexa, Nick, what do you guys think?
Goku. Simply because he is written purposefully to be the most overpowered character ever, so kind of goes against his writing to lose.
Honestly, don't know a whole much about a lot about these characters, but I would probably go Saitama because I feel like he can one punch anybody.
Break the arm. It's over.
So I don't think that Goku would go against that.
Just dodge the fist. Break the arm. You literally win. You win instantly.
Max, got any comments?
So if we go off of feats, they're both very strong, but I'd say the biggest feat I would bring up is in the original Dragon Ball, Goku fought Arale, who was also a gag character. She tripped and broke the Earth in half, and only Goku was able to defeat her. We haven't seen any incredible feats from Saitama other than him punching a character who said he was invincible and dying, but we've seen Goku beat a gag character like Saitama. We have to assume Goku can beat him.
I wouldn't say have to. I think that's a stretch. I think the difficulty here is that we have not seen, from my knowledge, Saitama really face a challenge in general, whereas Goku has had to work for it. So,
my only point is the argument that Saitama is a gag character, so of course he'll win. We've seen Goku be gag character, so I don't think that specific argument really holds any water.
Here's what I'll say. Saitama he's bald because he trained so hard all his hair fell out.
Yes.
And if I look at Goku, he's got a full head of hair. So
yeah,
I got you know what? I think I'm switching sides.
It's a very strong argument from Nick right there.
I mean, if you think about it, plus
right
Goku's
there.
basically a gag character, just in how comically overpowered he is. So I feel like, I don't know, it's a pretty even fight, but the lack of hair on Saitama,
In the Dragon Ball
people are
universe,
more powerful.
when a character gets stronger, they grow more hair. What does that say about Saitama?
doesn't make any sense.
He must be weak as heck.
Makes sense to
Logical
lose hair.
fallacy. That's all I have to say.
Not having hair is a logical fallacy. If he goes into Dragon Ball, look at who else
Hello,
has no
Dwayne
hair in
Johnson.
Dragon Ball?
Not
having
Krillin,
hair.
Frieza, Piccolo, all of them, dog water.
Look how
They're
ripped
nothing.
Dwayne Johnson is, and he has no hair. Think about that.
Are we bringing up Dwayne Johnson? Goku beats Dwayne Johnson.
Goku
Lies.
solos the
Lies.
WWE.
Dwayne Johnson is the real life Goku.
Lies.
The
Slander, libel.
Goku solos the WWE universe.
WWE's performance.
Anyway,
that doesn't
guys,
count.
we're gonna call this duel a draw. We don't know who's gonna win. I don't know if no hair makes you stronger or if more hair makes you stronger. I really don't know. I'm not an anime writer, but I don't know. So when we come back from the break, Nikki has a mind-blowing review of Psychonauts 2. Don't go anywhere. And Sora's in Super Smash, guys. Let's go.
Psychonauts 2 came out recently, and Nikki has a lot to say about it. So get ready, here it comes.
Psychonauts is the sort of game you've probably only heard of if you frequently venture into online gaming communities. Originally coming out in 2005, it's what a lot of people have called a hidden gem, as it received very high praise from fans and critics alike, but sold quite poorly at launch. However, once the developers, Double Fine Productions, acquired publishing rights and started to put it on digital platforms years later, it quickly sold very well. The game itself is about Rasputin Aquato, a 10-year-old psychic who ran away from his family to train his psychic abilities with a group of international psychic spies that use their powers to keep the world safe. The game's main levels, so to speak, consist of Raz going into the minds of other characters he meets in order to learn new abilities and information, as well as to help them fight their inner demons. So, fast forward 10 years, and in late 2015, Double Fine announced that they would be launching a fundraising campaign in order to fund a sequel. And though the goal was an astounding $3.3 million, the fans pulled through. Fast forward again until August 25th, 2021, and despite a lot of difficulty in development in which the project is saved, believe it or not, by Microsoft of all things, the game is finally finished and released to the world, a whole 16 years after the release of the original game. So there's your history lesson, folks. And yes, there will be a test on this. Even though this is a review of the second game, I will also be talking about the original quite a bit as well for a point of comparison. But I'll try to spoil as little as possible in both cases. Psychonauts 2 is honestly just more of the first game, and that is an incredibly good thing. Everything about this game has the same style as the original, but has evolved with how gaming has progressed over the years. And that's honestly a great thesis for my thoughts on this game. A lot of the exploration of the different people's minds is not only for progression, but also extra collectibles. The sequel makes some changes, which boil down to removing the boring stuff and adding more of what we love. They've added new kinds of collectibles, including nuggets of wisdom, half-a-minds, and supply chests that offer unique rewards. All powers now have use in fights as well as puzzle solving, and you can equip up to 3 special pins in order to augment your powers. The default melee combo is also smoother and more satisfying, less rigid, more flowy. That's not a real word. Flowy's not a real word. We're gonna stick with flowy. These are just a few of the things that shows that Double Fine has taken the criticisms of the original to heart. Let's cover a few miscellaneous things about the game other than gameplay. The music has a very similar style, but is noticeably different, as using different types of sounds and instruments is a lot easier today than it was 16 years ago. The writing is still as hilarious as ever. There are many entertaining characters with distinct personalities, and Raz's little quips are still proof that he is trying a bit too hard to be cool, and I love every moment of it.
Good thing we're near a hospital, so, your ghosts don't have to walk very. Oh, never mind.
Remember to act casual!
I am acting casual.
What's that?
I said, I love Casual Friday. Am I right? What? I'm an intern. Agent Forsyth gave me this.
The voice performances are also stellar. I can confidently say that every actor fit their character near perfectly. I will also say that there's a character voiced by Jack Black, and he gets a full 3-minute song. If nothing else has gotten your interest so far, hopefully that did. Despite all that, the main attraction of Psychonauts is the level design of the various minds you visit. All of them are unique and interpret each character's unique issues differently. Confidence problems, sensory overload, loneliness. These are the problems that the Psychonauts series allows you to delve into in a format that is not only digestible, but also actively enjoyable, by keeping the metaphor hand in hand with the absurdity and hilarity of the situations that Raz finds himself in. Every single level hooks you with the narrative, audio, and visual design just as much as it does with the gameplay. It is important to note that this series does contain metaphors and depictions of mental issues that, while they are often depicted in a lighthearted way as a part of the comedy, may be distressing to some people. And the second game also has some dental imagery in the first level that may make players uncomfortable. Luckily, the moments of seriousness are never too terribly far away from a moment of comedy. Raz learns early on that it isn't enough to just, quote, fix people and make their problems go away by messing with their head. It's important instead to help them fight their inner demons on their own, so then when his work is done, they won't need him anymore. This was a problem with the narrative path that the first game took, with some depictions of insane asylum patients that are problematic by today's standards, and I'm very glad they approached the sequel from a different angle. Overall, I would give Psychonauts 2 a score of 9.5 out of 10. I have a few small gripes that keep it from getting a perfect score, some of which I didn't say here because of limited time, but it is truly an incredible experience. It is one of the few games that I finished and then immediately wanted to play through a second time. You don't have to play the first game in order to enjoy the second, but I would recommend playing it if you have the patience. If you're looking for a fun, comedic, and enthralling psychic adventure, Psychonauts 2 might be the game for you.
Well, that's all we got for this week.
Until next time, check out our Twitter and Instagram for all things ASG.
And don't miss us next week, same place, same time, for your weekly dose of geek news. I'm Nick Thaman.
And I'm Jenica Jenick. All systems go, signing off.